Girlfriend traveled to see her friend, then I found a pregnancy test in her Target order and learned they were sleeping together while mocking me for being naive. I came home from work that Friday, tired but glad it was the weekend. My girlfriend, Emily, had just gotten back from her trip to visit her friend in Colorado. She was already in the bedroom, unpacking her suitcase. The apartment felt quiet, but not in a bad way. Her jacket was tossed on the couch, and a Target bag sat on the kitchen counter. I didn't think much of it at first. She was humming to herself, something she did when she was in a good mood. I asked how her trip was, and she said it was fun, just what she needed. I nodded and started making dinner. Later, while cleaning up, I took the Target bag to the trash. The receipt slipped out. I picked it up, about to crumple it, when I saw "pregnancy test" listed among the items. My chest tightened. She hadn't said anything about needing one. I put the receipt back in the bag and didn't mention it. That night I couldn't sleep. Emily and I had been together for almost 4 years. We met through a mutual friend at a bar downtown, back when we were both figuring out our careers. She was studying to be a graphic designer, and I was grinding through an entry-level tech job. Things moved fast after a few dates, and we got a place together after a year. It wasn't always perfect, work stress, small arguments about chores, but it felt solid. We talked about the future sometimes, not in detail, just enough to know we both wanted kids eventually. That's why the pregnancy test threw me. It wasn't like we were trying, and she hadn't mentioned any changes. A few months ago, she started acting distant. Not cold, just less present. She'd scroll her phone late at night, or take longer to reply when I texted during the day. I didn't push her about it. I figured it was stress from her freelance gigs piling up. Then, 6 weeks ago, she brought up needing a break. Not from me, she said, but from routine. Her friend Matt from college had moved to Colorado a couple of years back, and she wanted to visit him for a long weekend. She framed it as a chance to clear her head, catch up with someone she hadn't seen in ages. Matt was a name I'd heard before, some guy she'd done group projects with in school. I didn't have a reason to say no. I trusted her. She booked the flight, and I didn't ask too many questions. Looking back, I wonder if I should have. When she left for the airport, she hugged me tighter than usual, said she'd miss me. I believed her. The weekend she was gone, I kept busy, fixed a bug in a work project, binged a new series, even cleaned the oven. She texted a few times, just quick updates about landing safely or grabbing coffee. I didn't think to check in more than that. Now, with that receipt burning a hole in my memory, I started replaying every moment of the last few months. Something wasn't adding up. Emily's first day back was strange, but I couldn't pin down why. She was cheerful, almost too much, like she was trying to fill the silence. She unpacked her suitcase slowly, folding clothes I didn't recognize as hers. I noticed a new scarf, bright red, not her usual style. She said she got it at a thrift store in Colorado. I didn't ask more, just watched her move around the apartment. She talked about her trip without me prompting, said she and Matt went hiking, ate at some diner, laughed about old college stories. It sounded normal enough. I nodded along, but my mind kept drifting to that Target receipt. I hadn't brought it up yet. Part of me didn't want to know. That night, we watched a movie, but I barely paid attention. She fell asleep on the couch, her phone buzzing once on the coffee table. I didn't check it. The next morning, I took out the trash again, half hoping the receipt was gone, like I'd imagined it. It was still there, folded in the bag. I read it again, pregnancy test, $14.99. My hands felt cold. I stuffed it back and went to work, but I couldn't focus. All day, I kept thinking about how she hadn't mentioned feeling off or missing her period. We'd always been open about that stuff before. By Wednesday, I was checking her behavior for clues. She was on her phone more, smiling at texts she didn't share. When I asked what was funny, she said it was a meme from a coworker. I didn't buy it. That evening, I asked if everything was okay, if she had anything she wanted to tell me. She looked at me for a second, then laughed and said no, why would I think that? Her voice was steady, but her eyes flicked away too fast. I didn't push. I just said I was glad she had a good trip. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why she'd buy a test and not tell me. By Friday, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something. Emily was acting normal on the surface, making coffee, planning dinner, but it felt rehearsed. I started noticing little things. She'd angle her phone away when she typed, something she never used to do. Once, when I walked into the room, she closed her laptop fast. I didn't say anything, but it stuck with me. That afternoon, I was using our shared tablet to order takeout. Her browser was still logged in, synced to her phone. I wasn't trying to snoop, but a tab caught my eye, an Airbnb listing for a cabin in Colorado, dated for the weekend she was gone. She hadn't mentioned staying anywhere but Matt's place. Another tab had a search for Matt's name, like she was checking something about him. My pulse picked up. I closed the tablet and tried to focus on work, but my head was spinning. That night, Emily went to bed early, saying she was tired. I stayed up, unable to sleep. Her old laptop was on the desk, one she hadn't used in months. I knew her Apple ID was still synced to it from when we shared accounts for apps. I opened it, not sure what I was looking for. The password was the same as always. iMessage loaded automatically, and there they were, her texts with Matt. I hesitated, but I clicked. The first few were about her flight, logistics, nothing weird. Then I scrolled down. There were photos of them together, not just friendly ones. Plans for the Airbnb, not Matt's apartment. My stomach twisted. I kept reading, going back weeks. They weren't just catching up. It was clear they'd been planning this for a while, long before she pitched the trip to me. I shut the laptop and sat there, hands shaking. I didn't sleep that night either. The next morning, I moved through the apartment like a ghost. Emily was in the kitchen, humming again, making toast. I watched her butter the bread, acting like everything was fine. My eyes burned from staying up, reading those messages over and over. The texts between her and Matt weren't just plans, they were personal, intimate. They talked about things I thought were private between us, moments I'd shared with her in confidence. Worse, they mocked me. Matt sent a message saying I must be clueless, letting her fly out for a whole weekend. Emily replied that I was too busy with work to notice anything. She called me predictable, said I'd never suspect a thing. Another message from her stood out. He's so trusting it's almost boring. Matt wrote back. Bet he thinks we're just swapping old college stories. She responded with a string of laughing emojis. I couldn't stop seeing those words in my head. Every time she smiled at me that morning, it felt like a lie. I didn't confront her yet, I wasn't ready. I went to work, sat at my desk, and stared at my screen without typing. My coworker asked if I was okay, and I said I was just tired. When I got home, Emily was on the couch, scrolling her phone. I asked how her day was, keeping my voice flat. She said it was fine, then went back to her screen. I noticed she changed her phone's passcode. It used to be the same as mine. That night, I opened her laptop again, needing to know how deep this went. I found more messages, ones from after she got back. They were still talking, planning another meetup. She hadn't stopped. I felt sick, but I kept reading, unable to look away. Saturday morning, I found the message that broke me. I'd gone back to her laptop while Emily was in the shower, the water running loud enough to cover the sound of my typing. I scrolled through her texts with Matt, looking for something to explain why she'd do this. Then I saw it, a conversation from 2 days ago. Emily wrote. The test was positive. My heart stopped. I read it again, making sure I wasn't imagining it. Matt replied. Seriously? Mine? She sent back. Pretty sure, yeah? Don't freak out. He wrote. That's wild. You gonna tell him it's his? Emily's response was a knife. He'll buy it. I've got him wrapped around my finger. I stared at the screen, my hands cold. They went on, joking about how I'd probably pay for everything, how I'd never question her. Matt said. You're ruthless. And she replied. It's not hard when he's this naive. There were no messages about being sorry or conflicted. It was all a game to them. I closed the laptop and sat on the couch, trying to breathe. The shower turned off, and Emily came out, towel around her hair, asking what I wanted for breakfast. I said I wasn't hungry. She didn't push, just went to get dressed. I spent the day in a fog, replaying every moment of our relationship. The trips we took, the nights we stayed up talking, the promises we made, it all felt fake now. I didn't know how to face her, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending. By evening, I decided I had to end it. I wasn't going to let her spin this any longer. That evening, I waited until Emily was done eating dinner. She'd made pasta, and we sat at the table, her talking about some new project she was pitching. I barely touched my food, just pushed it around the plate. My head was loud with everything I'd read, her texts, her lies, the pregnancy test. I didn't want to drag this out anymore. When she got up to clear the dishes, I said I needed to talk. She turned, drying her hands on a towel, and asked what was wrong. I didn't ease into it. I told her I knew about Matt, the Airbnb, the messages. I said I saw the texts about the pregnancy test and how they laughed about me. Her face changed, first shock, then something harder. She didn't deny it right away. Instead, she asked how I found out, like that was the problem. I said it didn't matter. I told her she needed to leave. She started arguing, saying I had no right to go through her stuff, that I was blowing it out of proportion. Her voice got loud, but I didn't match it. I repeated that she had to go. She stood there, hands on her hips, then grabbed her phone and keys. She said she'd be back for her things later. I didn't respond. She walked out, slamming the door. The apartment felt too big after that. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, trying to process it. I didn't feel angry anymore, just empty. I stayed there until it was dark, then went to bed. I didn't sleep much. The next few days were a blur. Emily didn't come back right away, and I didn't reach out. I boxed up some of her clothes and left them by the door, just in case. My phone started lighting up with texts from mutual friends, asking why Emily was staying at her sister's place. I didn't give details, just said we broke up. One friend pushed for more, but I changed the subject. I didn't want to explain. At work, I kept my head down, focusing on code to avoid thinking. My boss noticed I was off and told me to take a day if I needed it. I said I was fine. A week later, Emily tried calling. I saw her name on my screen and let it go to voicemail. She left a message, saying we should talk, that she could explain. I deleted it without listening to the rest. I didn't need her version of the truth, I'd seen enough. I started noticing things she'd left behind, a hair tie on the bathroom counter, her old sketchbook under the couch. I threw them out. The Target receipt was still in the trash can. I tore it up. Friends kept asking if I was okay, and I said I was getting there. I wasn't sure if that was true, but it was easier than admitting how much it hurt. I spent nights alone, watching shows I didn't care about, trying to fill the quiet. I didn't know what Emily was doing, and I didn't want to. She'd made her choice, and I was done being the guy who believed her. 3 weeks after Emily left, I started feeling like I could breathe again. The apartment didn't seem so heavy anymore. I rearranged the furniture, got rid of the rug we'd picked out together. It helped. Work was steady, and I took on extra projects to keep my mind busy. Friends stopped asking about the breakup, which was a relief. I didn't want to keep explaining that I was moving on. Emily's stuff was still in boxes by the door, but she hadn't come for them. I texted her once, saying I'd leave them with her sister if she didn't pick them up soon. She didn't reply. I heard through a friend that she was still in town, working on her portfolio, acting like nothing had happened. I didn't care enough to ask more. One night, I found an old photo of us on my phone, from a camping trip 2 years ago. I deleted it. I didn't feel sad, just done. The betrayal still stung, but it wasn't all I thought about anymore. I started running again, something I'd stopped when things got bad. It cleared my head. I wasn't ready to date or anything, but I didn't feel stuck either. What Emily and Matt did was on them. I wasn't naive for trusting her, I was just human. I wouldn't let their choices define me. Life was quieter now, and I was okay with that.